The following political program is paid for by Kansans for Senator Dole, Bob Wells, chairman.
This is Senator Bob Dole. I'd like to visit a while about the campaign. I think many of you know, who may be viewing this, that we're in the closing weeks of the campaign. First, I want to thank those who've been actively participating in my campaign and try to welcome others to the campaign effort in the last 30 days. I know that campaigning is hard work, it's demanding. I really appreciate the efforts of the many volunteers all across Kansas who want Bob Dole reelected to the Senate. Let me assure you that I've made every effort in the Senate to represent the views of the great majority of Kansans, regardless of where they live, regardless of background, regardless of their economic status, race, or color. I believe we've done a good job in the Senate, and I know you're being flooded with what I would call campaign propaganda by the opposition. I don't suggest that that isn't a right they have. I do suggest that some of it is a little misleading. It's a very slick advertising campaign when they say that Bob Dole is against the farmers, or Bob Dole is against education, or Bob Dole somehow is against the handicapped, or votes against senior citizens. I think my friends who know me across Kansas, whether they be senior citizens or farmers or handicapped or in the field of education, or whether they're concerned about revenue sharing or getting gasoline or whatever it may be, know that we make an effort to respond in our office to the demands of the Kansas people. I do that because that's what I'm there for. That's my job, is to represent the people of Kansas. But there's another very basic difference in this campaign. That's one of philosophy. I'm from the Midwest. I'm a third-generation Kansan. I'm considered a conservative in this race, running for re-election. My opponent, on the other hand, has lived in Kansas for a short time, but he votes like a big city Eastern liberal. And of course, that's his right. I quarrel with that right, though, when he reflects those views and says they're the views of most Kansans. And I don't say take Bob Dole's word for it. I say look at some of the ratings of members of Congress, those who rate members of Congress as liberal or conservative, and you'll find in every instance Bob Dole is conservative. His opponent, Bill Roy, is the liberal. I've had a strong feeling the past few months that inflation just must be the #1 problem that we must lick in the Congress. It's not a Democratic issue. It's not an independent issue. It's not a Republican issue. It's an American problem. And it's a Kansas problem, and one that I think we ought to solve. And so I've stayed in the Senate this year about 96% of the time, as compared to my opponents about 86% of the time. Because of this time of crisis, we need leadership. We don't just need Bob Dole to vote no or to vote yes. We need a senator to offer the motions and make the tough amendments and make the tough votes to help fight inflation. And I've done that. And I've been criticized for it, I understand. But I think it's necessary, particularly for those who live on fixed incomes and those senior citizens who never seem to catch up, and the low-income people and the poor who have never caught up at any rate. And so I ask you now in the closing minute of this telecast to sort of band together. We would like to refer to it as Bob Dole's Army, without offending anyone. I would only say that next year I'll be the ranking Republican on the Senate Ag Committee, Senate Agriculture Committee. That's important to farmers, yes. It means that I'll be making policy with a Republican Secretary of Agriculture and a Republican President. But it's also important to consumers. If we're going to bring the price of food down, we must produce. And I find Kansas farmers willing to produce if only they're given a chance to make a reasonable profit. And so as I look down the road in this campaign, I think the issues are very clear. Our television is starting, our billboards are going up, but we need your help. Not help to defeat somebody, but help in a cause that we think you believe in a philosophy. And so I would say if you can help us help re-elect Bob Dole, please call our office.
To help in Senator Dole's campaign, write Box 1338 Topeka or call area code 913-357-6201.